for a long time about things that really interest. Syrian refugee crisis. Shame that we haven't had any update on the commitment made by the leader regarding Coptic Christians and Yazidis, because that would have been an interesting development which he had indicated he would take forward. The question is, it says, at this point in time, my view is that we are able to bring in and support 2 households per year for each of the 5 years of the current scheme. I would just like clarity. Is this 2 additional families each year? I do trust that we're not going to take a family in, move it out after a year and move another family in. So to confirm, is this 2 additional families each year, making a total of 10 families over the period of the scheme? What will be his approach? Will he seek to disperse them across the borough, including the special places? Or will he seek to house them largely together so that they can benefit from each other's intercultural contact? So just looking for some clarity on how he sees that going ahead over the next 5 years.
Yes, thank you, Councillor, for his question. I actually missed the first comment, but I don't think I missed an awful lot. In terms of the first question, the one of the Yazidi refugees, my apologies, it's taken quite so long to get the information that you, at least you didn't actually ask a formal question, but you certainly raised the matter last month. As you will appreciate, this is a technical issue, and we've had to do an awful lot of research to try and come up with the answer, and I will provide you with an answer. But will you accept if I read it for tonight and you'll get it in due course? Firstly, can I make it clear, because there seems to be some confusion even in this chamber as to actually who the Yazidis are. They're an ethno-religious group. They have their own monotheistic religion. It has Sufi influences of mysticism. It has elements of Zoroaster, I can't even pronounce it, but you all know what I mean, and Christianity. They're most certainly not Christians in any way that any other Christian faith regards them. But there is also an indigenous Christian community in Syria, indeed roughly 10% of the population, and also in Iraq, where it's roughly 5% of the population. Mostly Orthodox and Antioch Christians, but actually members of 4 or 5 different Christian groupings. With regard to the risks faced by these minorities, a lot of them, particularly the Yazidis, are identified by Sunni Muslims as the devil. So they are at extreme risk, as I think you and I have both stated in this comment in this chamber before. Some of them are regarded as followers of a pre-Islamic Abrahamic religion. And they are obviously at some risk, as indeed are Christians, who are also felt to have a degree of hostility from Sunni Muslims, although nowhere near as pronounced as the hostility to the Yazidis. And as you say, there has been evidence of persecution in areas controlled by the so-called Islamic State, or Diaz, or whatever you want to call it this week. Under the relevant UN Constitution and Protocol and national case law which has been built up, a person's eligibility to be treated as a refugee is based on their personal circumstances, cannot be determined en masse. So while membership of a particular ethnic group may well be sufficient, either on its own or in conjunction with other factors, it doesn't give the legal entitlement en masse. It has to be looked at case by case. In the humanitarian aid that's being funneled through the United Nations to those countries that border Syria, as we said, we have agreed to take 20,000 people in this country. In order to be eligible, they need to meet at least one of the United Nations 7 established criteria. While these criteria do include membership of an ethnic or religious group, which could apply to both the Yazidis and the Christians, the UK government's position remains in accordance with all other Western European governments. Rejection of particular religious characteristics as exclusive criteria we know that some of the newer EU members are actually using religion as a criteria only, or at least are excluding anyone who is Muslim, but that's not the case in this country. So we're not saying we would only accept Christian refugees, but we will resettle people exclusively from the refugee camps bordering Syria, in order to make sure we don't exclude Christians and other religious minorities such as the Yazidi who have been forced to flee these camps. The Home Office is today looking, or has to date been looking at only 20% of refugees coming directly from the camps, and the other 80% coming from people who are living in or near to the camps. So in fact 80% of those people could come from the areas which are currently being inhabited by the Christians and the Yazidis. Sorry it's taken so long to find it out, but we did have to sort of check through the Home Office and almost trawl through the United Nations, but I'm even more confident than I was before that this country at least will be doing its part for persecuted Christian minorities and the Yazidi community.